Mum, am I adopted?
Yeah. All around me are familiar faces.
Hey everyone, welcome back to GodCube. Today I'm going to be answering all of your questions and having a look at or attempting all of your Q&A challenges. So just before we get into that, I want to give a little plug. I have already announced this in my Discord server. Join now if you haven't already, link in the description below. But basically, me and a friend of mine have recently started a brand new YouTube channel called Quasi Keys, and on there we will make all sorts of content about mechanical keyboards. So there'll be some sound tests, some reviews, some builds. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then please check it out. It will be the top link in the description, and subscribe to the channel and make sure to hit that post notification bell if you're interested. Alright then, so now let's get into the video. So I appreciate that this is a really long video, but it has taken me a very long time to film it all and to edit it all. So I would really appreciate it if you have time, if you would watch the whole thing. But if not, of course, if you don't have time, then just skip anything that doesn't interest you, because I really appreciate you watching this video at all. So thank you, and now let's get into the questions. So these questions will be coming in a pretty random order, and the first one comes from Adam Cubing, who asks, how many hours do you cube per day? So I would say that I probably cube for 1 to 2 hours per day on a Sunday, and then in the week when I'm at school, it'll be a lot less, maybe up to half an hour. But right now I'm on holiday, so when I have free time, that's probably like 3-4 hours a day of cubing, and so I get some pretty good practice in. Next question comes from Sledge Cubing, who asks, what's your favorite cube in your collection? And what's your most influential cube? So for my favorite cube in my collection, I think I would say the MKBHD Icons cube. It's just really interesting and really great fun to solve. I think it's really, really fun, and you should definitely check it out. And then most influential, I would probably say my Diantengion M. So this was my first speed cube, and I mained it for almost an entire year before I got my GAN 11M Pro. So this basically brought me all the way from averaging about 40 seconds all the way down to averaging sub 15. So this cube is definitely the most influential for me. Joe Sobrock asks, what's your favorite cube to solve? So I think I would probably say square one. I find it really interesting to do, especially when it goes well. It can be very satisfying. And recently I've been learning some EO algorithms, which has been really interesting and very useful for my square one. I'm currently averaging around 30 seconds. Name Loading asks, when did you get interested in cubing, and what's your favorite WCA or non-WCA cube? So I've already said square one and MKBHD cube for WCA and non-WCA. And then I first got interested in cubing about 1.5 years ago when I saw my friend at school solving his GAN X in about 30 seconds. And I just thought this was absolutely incredible. So I learned to solve a couple of months later, and that was that. Okay, so now we've got a challenge, and Bebo Hooper asks me to break my 3x3 and 2x2 PBs at 4 in the morning. No. Okay, so Kiwi Cuber asks, what do you think is the one thing that you could change in the cubing community sometime soon? And also, what do you think of the Gen 5 stack mat timer? So I don't think I'll ever be that significant enough that I can change a lot in the cubing community, but if I did, I would really like to remove the sort of stigma and myth around learning to solve a cube, because so many people think that solving a Rubik's Cube is really hard and almost impossible, but as we know, that's just not the case, and if you try and just put a bit of time into it, then you probably can do it. So I think that's what I would say. Get more people to have a go at learning the cube and be more willing to try. As for the Gen 5 timer, I don't know that much about it. I think it must be really annoying if you're a stacker, because you have to have your thumbs on the back, and that's a big delay. But for cubers, I don't think it will make a huge difference, and I don't actually see it being implemented because the Gen 4s are kind of fine as it is. Gadget Lab asks, how Zoom are you, fam? Very Zoom. I'm very, very Zoom. Stubwood says, that setup is ace. His question, once COVID is over, are you planning to enter any cubing competitions or events? So thank you very much. I have been working on my setup with the cubes in the background and on my Instagram. Make sure to go follow me, GodCube. You'll see some more behind the scenes images and photos, and you'll never miss a video because you'll always be notified. But anyway, yeah, I will definitely go to some comps as soon as they're back on. Really, really looking forward to that, and seeing some other cubers who I know on Discord, and just generally being able to compete. Name Loading, who's submitted a few different questions, has said, will you go to WCA events when the pandemic is over? Because it would be nice to get my cube signed from the giveaway I won. So, who knows, maybe you will win the giveaway. You have to wait till later on in the video to find out. But yes, as I just said, I will definitely be going to some comps, so see you there. So Name Loading also asked what are your favourite WCA and non-WCA events. So I've kind of already explained this, but I'll go into a bit more detail. So for WCA, I mainly practice 3x3, 4x4 and square one, and also 3x3 blindfolded because it's really, really rewarding. And then for non-WCA events, I don't do them very much, but I quite like 2x2x3 because it's basically a simplified version of square one with no cube shape. So you have the M layer still, and you still have like EO, EP, CO, CP. So I think this can be really interesting and a great way to practice your square one fundamentals. And then, as I said earlier, master pyramids. Name Loading again also says his parents won't buy him a cube. He needs an RS3M from the giveaway. When I blow up, will I do more giveaways? So I do completely understand this feeling, and it can be really, really annoying when you can't get any new cubes. But to be fair, I don't think you should expect your parents to buy you cubes because at the end of the day, cubing is just a hobby. So generally, when I buy cubes, I save up and spend my own money on them, or I get them as a birthday or Christmas present from people. That said, it can be very disheartening to have to practice using a bad cube. I experienced that for the first month or so of cubing before I got my Tengyun on my birthday. So I think that you've just kind of got to push through it and try and get some pocket money and buy yourself a cube. But yes, if and when I blow up, if I get sponsored, I will definitely do some more giveaways. So subscribe and push me up so that we can get sponsored and have plenty more giveaways. Jeff asks, are you planning to do any future collabs with people? So yeah, I actually have a very exciting collab coming up with a fairly big cubing YouTuber, and hopefully I'll do some more in addition to that, so stay tuned. Bro Memento says, sick setup, it makes you look like a good YouTuber, and his question is, are you going to try some hashtag shorts videos or some please people videos? So thank you very much about the setup. As I said, I have worked hard on this, so I'm glad you like it. I will be doing some more shorts, as I think they're quite a good filler video to get a few views, but I won't do too many of them, because to be honest, I kind of disagree with the principle of shorts. They seem kind of lazy to me and not really like proper videos, because it's basically just TikTok on YouTube. So first and foremost, my channel is going to be proper videos, proper full-length videos, so that will be what I mainly do, but I will occasionally post shorts, maybe once every week or two. As for please videos, I definitely won't be doing them. I think it's a really, really pointless concept because, let's face it, I don't think anyone actually cares that much, and also it's just kind of using other people's names to gain clout, which I kind of think is wrong. Alright, so now we've got another challenge. FC3x3 asks me to rematch him at 3x3 now that he's faster. Sure, it's official. This will be coming up. FC versus GuardCube, round 2. Let's do this. Alright, so Green WM Cubing asks, have you ever magnetized a 4x4 or 6x6 or something like that? So no, I actually kind of hate the whole magnetizing and assembling thing in cubing, especially for big cubes. In fact, I'm terrible at it and really impatient. It took me 3 hours just to reassemble my 4x4, and recently my 6x6 popped, one small edge bracket popped out, and then while trying to get it back in, 3 other ones popped out, and it took me over an hour to fix a tiny bit of pop, and I was so frustrated. So I don't really want to mess around with anything big. However, I will probably try magnetizing a 3x3 at some point. Colourful Cuba asks, what motivated you to create a YouTube channel? So to be honest, I was just kind of really bored in the first lockdown, and I thought it'd be fun to start a channel just as something to do. I also really thought that in the cubing community, we needed a good tutorial for the Fisher's Cube. There it is. Because I had it and it took me ages to work out how to solve it, and all the tutorials were terrible and missed a really important step. So I made that video, and that was quite important, and it did pay off actually. It's got about 900 views now, so that's nice. And then the other thing was just, I was sort of inspired by big channels like Tingman and JPerm, because I watched their content and it was very impressive, and I thought I want to be like that. Amy Parks also asked the same question. What made you want to start a YouTube channel? Keep up the good work. So thank you very much. And yeah, mainly just a bit of fun and to challenge myself. Cubing Cuba asks, what's your average and how long have you been cubing for? So currently I'm averaging about 12.3, and I've been cubing for 14 months now. So just over a year. Fruit Flax asks, what is the cube on the top of the pile on the right hand side? This is the Shengshao Evil Eyes, which is basically just an Ivy cube. And obviously we have a few challenges about this. Hindi Danda asks, why did you start cubing? So basically, my sister had a Rubik's Cube sitting in her room from when it was a bit of a craze at her school, but she never learned to solve it. It was just sitting around doing nothing. So one day I decided to buy it off her, I think for £4, £3, and the rest is history. So there is actually a bit more to it. I had a cubing friend at school and my cousin was able to solve a cube. But initially I just learned to solve it as a challenge for myself with the Rubik's brand. So that was that. Anas Bashir asks me to show a video with my girlfriend. Well, I don't have a girlfriend, so that's probably not going to be able to happen.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Cubish World asks, which editing app do you use? Your editing is OP. Thank you so much. I do put a lot of work into editing, so I'm very glad that you appreciate it. I use Adobe Premiere Pro, which is a fairly advanced software, and it did take me a little while to get used to it, but now I really enjoy editing, and it's great fun, and I work very hard, so yeah, that's how I do it. Oof the KFC says, who are you?
I'm not sure.
Are you doing blind, or are you planning on doing it soon? Says Solaranlage. Sorry, I probably pronounced that really wrong. So yes, I do some 3 blind, and I average about 2 minutes. So I did slip off quite a bit. I used to practice much more, but it is pretty mentally draining. However, I have recently been picking it back up, and I'm finding it very fun. The same person asks, do you own an N/N bigger than 7x7? I don't currently, but I would love to get an MFJS 11x11. Cubable says, how long have you been cubing and what recording equipment do you use? So I use a Nikon D3400 with an 18 to 55mm kit lens, a Google Pixel 4a for my B-roll, and my microphone is the ADX Firecast A01. I will have setup video coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. Rubik Snap says, how long have you been cubing? 14 months. OC Cubing says, who is your favorite cubing YouTuber? So overall, I'd probably say that it would have to be JPerm. I just find him really funny and I really love the way he does his content. But also I really enjoy Cubehead, TNL Cubing, MCubers and Tingman because they'll have really fun editing and their videos are very engaging to watch. Leo1 asks, what would be your biggest tip for having a successful YouTube channel? And he also congratulates me, thank you very much. So I have 4 main things going from easiest to hardest that I think can really help you in your videos. So this isn't just relevant to Leo, but this is for anyone. First of all would be to try and make unique videos that you don't see many other people making. I try and do this, so I do some unboxings and reviews, but also I try and do some other fun stuff like meme videos, stuff about cubing YouTubers, more unique personal things like ranking my own thumbnails. And then the second thing is to try and edit in a more complex and engaging way because content is a lot more fun and interesting. If you edit better, people are more likely to stick around and watch your videos. And once you start using a more advanced software, you can pick it up pretty quickly. Third, this can be really quite hard for some people, is to show your face. So I think it just gives you more credibility and makes you seem more reliable and honest and engaging if you show your face on camera. Because if you look at all the big cubing YouTubers, they all show their faces in videos. So I think this is quite important, but obviously some people don't feel comfortable with that. So that's fine if you don't want to. And then finally, is to try to improve your quality. So obviously you could get a nice camera, but also audio is really important. Audio is half of the viewing experience. So get a decent mic and make sure that your quality is generally pretty decent. Charged Cuber asks, what made you start cubing and what's your favorite PLL? So I've already talked about how I started cubing, but my favorite PLL is probably JB or maybe UA because I can do them both really fast. And also a smooth EPerm can be very fun. So now another challenge. Agent Alf asks me to solve a cube telepathically. I don't even know where to start with this one. Wow. James Serbrock asks, are you a fan of Alistair Cook's Jawline? No, not personally, but I know someone who is. Alright then guys, so now we're going to take a little break from the questions and we're going to have a look at some of the challenges that you sent me and have a go at them. Let's get into it with our first challenge. Alright then, so to kick off the challenges, CubeBrain challenged me to solve a cube underwater. Now, pools in England are closed and I don't have a pool, so I had to do this in my bath. It was pretty fun. It's a very unflattering angle of me, so that's not very nice. But the solve was pretty fun. I actually did it with my Maylong M, so I might have ruined that cube. But it was good, and challenge completed. So next up, Bruno Herger asked me to do clock blindfolded. And I was really worried about this because I have no idea how to solve a clock blindfolded. But I went over to YouTube and on Google and I found a tutorial by Stefan Pockman and another one by Enoch Gray. So I kind of used them in conjunction and learned how to solve the clock blindfolded. It's actually pretty easy, but you do have to like rotate the clock 90 degrees quite often, which means that there's quite a lot of margin for error. So I did about 8 attempts in the end, and I got lots of very frustrating failures. One of them, everything was right apart from one single center, which was just off by 2 clicks. So I was really frustrated. But finally I took a break, and in the process completing another challenge by taking a break, and I returned, and when I came back I was able to get a success, and this is what we see here. So I think it took me about 4 or 5 minutes. It was kind of fun, but I definitely won't be trying this again because it was hard and it was a pain. Challenge success. Let's go on to the next one now. Hey guys, so I got a couple of different requests for Shengshao Evil Eyes blindfolded. So I'm going to try that now. I seem to have actually found a pretty lucky scramble. I just went on CS Timer, and the first one I got was RLD, and that gives me a solved face already, which seems to be pretty nice. And I guess we'll just see what does happen. And let's go. So let's start the timer. Put blindfold on. Yes, let's go. Okay, so it turns out that that scramble was literally just like making the top face and then a U-perm. So that was pretty lucky. It took me 22.54 seconds, and I mean, I guess I've officially completed the challenge. So next, I was challenged by Conwolf GR to solve a 2x2 blindfolded in under 10 seconds. So I realised that this is really hard, and it took me a long time. So what I did was I actually didn't include memo in the timing, because I can't memo and solve it in under 10 seconds. That would be crazy. So basically I did like 2x2 blind method, which means that I didn't time the memo, but I just timed the actual solving process. And as you can see, I eventually got a really nice scramble, and that allowed me to get this 8-second 2-blind solve. So challenge completed. Next up, RoboSapien, cool name by the way, asked me to get a sub-world record solve on this insane scramble. So it's like a 3-move XXX cross into a pretty decent last layer, and I think it was on my 6th attempt that I managed to get this solve on my GAN 11M Pro of 3.43, so only just sub-world record, but a pretty insane scramble and a good fun challenge. Completed. So for the next challenge, I was asked by Cam the Cuber to solve a 3x3 with chopsticks, if I have any. So I have got these nice thick boy chopsticks. They're pretty chunky, so should be a bit easier. And I don't actually know how to use chopsticks properly, admittedly. So I think what I decided to do for this, what I realised would probably be the easiest thing to do, a bit like what you do in feet solving. So kind of use one chopstick to hold the rest of the cube steady, and then use the other one to push. But I could actually only do this on the U layer. So whenever I had to do a move, I had to rotate the cube so that the layer I wanted to turn became the U layer, then push that layer with the chopsticks, and sometimes I would kind of just flick it with the chopsticks, then rotate back to do the next move, which made solving a very slow process. I also ended up messing up the OLL case, which meant more time. But in the end, as you can see here, I did finish the solve in about 9 minutes, I believe. Yeah, it looks like 9 minutes and 32 seconds. So, challenge completed.
But I'm going to be quite bad at this, so this is going to be funny.
Yeah, exactly. All right, can you see it?
Yeah, move it to your left a little. Yeah, nice. Yeah, keep it there.
So, what colour is this?
Yellow.
So for this next challenge, I had to have my cousin describe the cube to me while I was blindfolded, and I had to solve it based on his instructions. So this was great, apart from the fact that my cousin was a pretty unreliable narrator, as you will see in a minute. So this was a really fun challenge actually. It took us about 10 minutes I think, and thank you very much to Arta for submitting this, because it's really good fun and really interesting. So the solve went pretty well, but then when we got to PLL, this happened. Okay, so now we should have all the corners solved.
Yeah, it's not solved cube though.
Okay, do we have like a straight bar anywhere, like all three solved?
Yeah, turn it 80 degrees, 180. Yeah, orange is full there.
Cool, and what are these ones?
Blue and then red in the middle.
Okay. Is the cube solved now?
No.
Oh. Really? Are you winding me up?
No, it's not solved.
Luckily, I knew that my cousin was probably the kind of person who would try and pull a fast one on me, so I didn't fall for it, and I took my blindfold off to find a solved cube, luckily. He also then tried to tell me that we had made an orange cross, so thank you very much to Joe for helping me. Big shout out to you. It was quite hard doing it over a WhatsApp video call rather than in person, and this was a really fun challenge. I had a lot of fun doing this one. So yeah, thank you. So for the next challenge, I had to solve a 4x4 while standing on one leg. So regrettably, the shot was actually pretty badly done here, and you can't actually really see whether I'm on one leg or not. You can sort of see that my right leg is raised, and I promised I was on one leg for the whole solve. So sorry about that, and you can see me hopping around a bit to try and keep my balance. This challenge was actually a bit easier than I thought. It was kind of fun, and let's go on to the next one. Solving a 5x5 into the checkerboard from OC Cubing, I managed to do it in 4.73 seconds, which I'm pretty happy with. So now Charged Cuber challenged me to get a sub 20 solve with the beginner's method. I used pretty optimized beginner's method because this was actually really hard. So rotationless edge inserts, better corner inserts, but I still did the cross on top and a classic EO, EP, CP, CO last layer. So I'm pretty proud that I managed to get this in the end. So Boy with the Backpack asked me to break the best cube in my collection and lube it with a godly lube, something like that. I don't really know quite what this means. I'm not gonna wreck a good cube. So I've got this rubbishy cube that I got a while ago. I think it was once a tangled cube, and I've just got Lubist Pro, and I'm just gonna completely overlube it and make it really trash. So let's do this. I'm gonna just pop out a piece and then just keep going with lube until there's just so much in there. Oh my goodness. Oh god. Why am I doing this? So I'm just gonna keep going with lube. Let's just squeeze. Okay. Oh my goodness. It's literally coming out of the crack. There's so much in there. Oh wow. This is a very bad idea. What am I doing? Oh, you can probably see it's just got a lot slower. It's actually difficult to turn at this point. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure that I've sufficiently trashed this cube with a huge amount of lube, and that was, I'm not going to say it was fun. It was certainly interesting, and challenge completed, I guess. Next challenge comes from Divid Yadav, who told me to dip my hands in cold water for at least 3 minutes, which is exactly what I did. I sped it up on this video so that it's not boring, but I had my hands in there for 3 minutes, and then try and get a sub 14 solve on my worst cube. So I decided that my worst cube is probably simply my Rubik's brand, because it is pretty trash, like many Rubik's brands. And so I got it out, did a bunch of attempts. It was pretty difficult, and I got quite close on a few of them. Maybe some 15s. I think, in fact, I got a 14 at one point, but it took me a while to actually get to the point of being sub 14. So by this point, I think my hands had probably warmed up a bit, but then this happened. So we're back in normal speed now, and I started the solve. It was a pretty easy cross, and F2L went quite smoothly. It was pretty good for look ahead, and you'll see that I had a nice last layer with the sexy move case and then a T-perm. which meant that I got 1357. So that was good. Challenge complete. Alright, so the decoder has asked me to solve a cube using a different method to CFOP, RU, or ZZ. So I think what I'm going to try and do is a sort of corners first method, and then I can sort of use the stuff I know from blind to solve the edges after that. So it should be kind of interesting, and let's give it a go. So I've just scrambled my cube from CS Timer, and first we're going to solve all the corners. So first we can just do that to put these two together, and then let's have a look. That's in the wrong place. Where's the other corner? There it is. So that corner's now in the right place. We just need to get this one in. Oh, that didn't work. There we go. So now all of these corners are in the right place and permuted. And now we want to get the ones on the top. So to do this, we can just do an OLL algorithm to orient them, and then a PLL to permute them. And now all our corners are solved. So we happen to have got the center solved as well, but if they weren't, then I could have just done some moving around of them. And now we will solve the edges. So I'm just going to use the method I used for blind, so I'll just do it two at a time. This one is going to go to here, which is F, and that's going to go to there, which is P. So I'll just solve them using the M2 method, and as you can see, those edges are both now solved. Now this one's going to go to X, and that is going to be our buffer. So we need to pick a new one. We're going to pick A, so we're going to go X, A, and then we get W, T. That's solved. And now we go back up to A, and then we're going to go down to V. So now we're going up to D and then down to O. And that solves our cube. So there you go. I solved it using a different method to CFOP. I used corners first / M2, and that was quite interesting. So that was quite a good challenge. I did enjoy thinking about what I'd do for that, and I guess challenge complete. So on to the next one. So AAQBED challenged me to scatter my cube pieces around my house and find them. I'm really sorry, I've been really busy and I didn't have time for this one, but it was a good challenge and you did get entered. So challenge failed for this one. Alright, so now Anune Mintu challenged me to solve a 3x3 with only S and E moves. I'm also going to use M moves because that's just an S or E move with the rotation. So if you want to do this, you have to actually scramble using only slice moves as well, otherwise it's impossible. Basically, you only scramble the edges and the centers, and all of the edges stay in opposites. So as you can see, there's red and orange, no contamination of colors, and you can do it really quickly. You just have to realign the edges, then commutate the centers, and done. 3.83. 1x1 sub 0.05 from Fruit Flax, and I bought a 1x1 specially for this, so unboxing coming soon. After a few attempts, I managed to do it, so here we go. Next up, I was challenged by Sledge Cuber to, as his name suggests, do my fastest sledge. So honestly, I don't actually use sledges a lot in my solves. I don't find them that useful. I don't find them easy to finger trick because to do it fast, I have to regrip because I can't bring it back up with my thumb and do it quickly. So actually, I don't think I was that quick on this. I mean, it's still a pretty quick time, but there are probably people who are much quicker. But yeah, challenge complete. After this, Yan He challenged me to solve a Pyraminx in OH and also FMC. So Pyra OH, I was incredibly slow at. I saw Livia Kleiner doing this, and she took like 15 or 20 seconds. Well, as you're about to see, I took 55 seconds. Pretty much the only move I could do was a U move, so a bit like with chopsticks, I was constantly rotating. Now then, for FMC, so my plan was pretty much just to do a normal Pyra solve, but I tried to do some block building and insert a couple of edges like during the first step rather than afterwards to save moves. It was still probably a not very efficient solution, and my last layer was quite long. So as you can see, actually I don't think you can see because I don't show it, but it was a 22 move solution, and I wrote it all down on this little scrap of paper. Alright, so EVB RoboCub clearly hates me because they wanted me to solve a 3x3 but do a pull-up for every turn. They later corrected this to sit-ups because I explained that I would not be able to do this with pull-ups, as I can't even do one. So maybe I'm just really weak, but this was quite difficult, and it was a very good challenge, to be fair. I have been through and counted it using an online clicky counter to make sure that I got it right, and I did a total of 78 sit-ups, 78 moves, because I had to use beginner's method, not beginner's method, but 4-look last layer, because I couldn't remember my PLLs when doing them one move at a time. So it was a very long and inefficient solution, but you know what, I'm glad I did this challenge. It was interesting. So next up, we had pretty much the same challenge from DSM, Cubing, and from Siddharth Ram to keep solving until I got a PLL skip. So I had actually already done about 50 solves before I started recording, but during the time when I was actually recording, cracked out my old streaming setup. We'll have some streams coming up again soon, and you can follow me on Twitch because I might stream there. After only about 12 solves, amazingly, this happened. So slow-mo, easy, double sexy, F2L, OLL case, sorry, straight into a PLL skip, easy dubs challenge complete. Thank you very much. So next, I was challenged by MCubers himself to solve the GAN 330 one-handed in under a minute. So surprisingly, this was actually quite easy due to its tiny size, and I actually got a time that's very similar to my normal OH times. Obviously, it's sped up here, so I'm pretty bad at OH usually, but it wasn't too bad. I ended up guessing a 46-second solve on my second attempt, so I was pretty happy with this, and challenge complete. So in this last challenge for now, Mouser Y and SangiCuber challenged me to solve 2 cubes one-handed simultaneously. This was actually really difficult, and I even dropped the cubes at one point, or at least one of them. It also really hurt my hands, and I'm not used to doing OH with my right hand, but it was definitely good fun and a nice challenge. And please note the GuardCube logo in the background telling you that you have to subscribe. Anyway, I think it took about 2 minutes. Alright, so that was a nice little break, and now we're going to get back into a bunch more Q&A questions before I finally reveal the results of the giveaway. SangiCuber asks, what is your main 3x3 and what is your average? So my current main is the Unicube GAN 11M Pro. It's absolutely amazing. I definitely recommend it, and it averaged 12.3 seconds. Fatima Sayad asks, what is your current 3x3 solving record? So my PB right now is 6.85 seconds, and actually by getting a 6.85 second solve, I managed to complete 2 of my challenges, which said to break my PB and to get a sub 7 single on 3x3. So yeah, easy dubs. And you can see a reconstruction of that in the top right corner if you go and watch that video. Sean Dunn asks, what is your favourite school subject? So I think I'd probably say maths or maybe chemistry, but I also really like biology and French. Carver asks, do you play Minecraft? So I used to play quite a lot of survival, but I don't do that anymore. Now I mainly play Hypixel Bed Wars with my friends pretty much most days, and that's pretty fun. So now we've got a really interesting question from Janston Pickle, who asks, if you could only choose TPS or efficiency in your solves, which one would you pick? So I think I would say efficiency, because if you had amazing efficiency, then you'd use very little moves, so you wouldn't really need a high TPS, because if you could solve each cube God's number, I think 18 moves, then even if you just did only 2 moves per second, you'd be constantly averaging sub 10, which would be pretty nice. So I don't think TPS would be important in that case, but I suppose you could sort of apply the same argument the other way around. Either way, really interesting question, so thank you for that. NQ Web says, what is your aim? So my aims in terms of my channel are to reach 1,000 subscribers at some point and to hit 50,000 individual views. So hopefully this will happen in the next year or 2, and then I might be able to get sponsored, which would be great. I'll be super happy if we get there, but yeah, in general, I'll just keep making videos until I get bored of it, I suppose. JJ Plays 73 says, nice to see you improving your backdrop. It looks much more professional. Are you planning any collabs or sponsorships? So thank you very much. I actually have been planning some collaborations. I mentioned that earlier, and that will be, I think I have 2 collaborations coming up. my FC Racing, which I announced earlier in the video, and another one which will be a secret. As for sponsorships, I have actually reached out to Cubes UK about sponsorship, but they did tell me that I need to wait until I have 1,000 subscribers and then get back in touch with them. So please help me get sponsored and do more giveaways by subscribing so that we can get to 1,000. Talking about subscribing, my analytics tell me that only less than 25% of you viewers are currently subscribed, according to this statistic from my channel page. So please do subscribe to help me push that number up so that we can do more giveaways and get sponsored. Bridget Brown says, yo, can I get a cube? Well, maybe. You entered the giveaway, so who knows? FC3x3 says, how much faster do you plan on becoming before you stop? So I think I would really like to be sub 10 average at some point. I think that would just be an amazing accolade to say that you achieved at some point in your life, regularly averaging less than 10 seconds on the Rubik's Cube. So that will be quite important to me. But if that doesn't happen, then it's fine. Really, I'll just keep going until I don't enjoy it anymore. So now we have a very interesting question from Cuba Joe, who asks, if you had to estimate how many times you've solved a 3x3, what would you say? So, right, let's think about this. I have a big spreadsheet with all of my 3x3 solves in it, and since October I've done 7,000 in there, but I was already a cuber before that for 8-9 months or so, so if I include all of the ones from before then, and untimed ones that I've done in the car or just randomly, I reckon it must be about 18,000 probably. Okay, now we've got a bunch of rapid fire questions from Zachary Kiley. What's the time of your first solve? What is your first Rubik's Cube? When is your first solve? How many subscribers do you want in the future? Who's your inspiration YouTuber? How do you feel when you hit 250 subscribers? What is your fastest time in Rubik's Cube? Okay, here we go. My first solve was around 3 hours because I was struggling, took a break, then came back and eventually managed to solve it. It was a very good time. My first cube was just a Rubik's brand, and my first solve was on the date of this Instagram post, December the 30th, 2019. I want to reach 1,000 subscribers at some point. My inspiration is probably TNL Cubing and also Tingman. TNL Cubing especially because he's not actually that big, so he feels kind of attainable, and I love his quality in editing. When I hit 250, I felt really pleased and also very surprised. And now we've hit 350 as well, which is just crazy. Finally, my fastest time is 6.85 seconds. Wow, that was a pretty rapid fire mini Q&A round. Not White Feather asks, what's your favorite game? So to be honest, I don't think I really have one. I do occasionally play Minecraft, as I said earlier, Clash of Clans, and also a game called American Dream on my phone, but not very much, so I'm not really a massive gamer. Okay, now we've got another challenge. So Abhilasha and Pratista Dance, sorry if I got that name wrong, asks me to magnetize a cheap cube. So I'm actually planning on trying this at some point in the future. I'll probably buy some magnets and a random cube and put them in and see what difference it makes. S-Move says, do you like the default Rubik's Cube color scheme? I think this is a really interesting question, actually. So I do quite like it. I think the opposite colors of green, blue, red, orange, and white, yellow do make sense. However, I do think that maybe in the future we could swap out yellow for black, as is done on Square One, because it just allows for higher contrast and it allows you to see things a bit better during solves and makes recognition a bit quicker. Sam Cubing asks, what is your name? My name is Laurie. Jordan Neus asks, what do you think of the roux method? So personally, I think the method actually has a lot of potential, and objectively, it possibly is better than CFOP. Less rotations, more efficient. But because less people use it, it's less developed, so there are less techniques you can learn, and less algorithms. So I think, personally, it could be really good, but whenever I've tried it, I'm not very good at it, because the intuitive block building thing doesn't work that well for me. And so, yeah, I think it could be really good if more people use it, and if you try really hard and persevere. But at the moment, in practice, I think CFOP is still the best. K1CubeYT asks, can I win giveaway? Well, maybe, but that's a really boring question. Esteban Gonzalez asks, what official event do you think needs to be removed? So, personally, I don't actually see a problem with any of the current WCA events, and I wouldn't remove them given the choice. However, if I had to pick one to remove, it would probably be 7x7. I just find that it takes a bit too long, and it's a bit pointless sometimes, when there are other cubes that basically do the exact same thing, like 5x5 and 6x6. Tatar Channel asks, what is your best Rubik's Cube? That would be the custom Unicube GAN 11M Pro. Tatar Channel also says, if you met Felix Zemdegs in the future, would you have a 3x3 match with him? So, maybe, if I randomly met him, I think I would, But if I was actually at a competition, then he would likely be really busy. So I think that would be a bit selfish to ask him to race. Also, let's not forget that he's about 2 times faster than me, so I would get destroyed. Guan Ying T asks, what's your main cube? Again, 11M Pro. And he also asks, what do you think is best out of the SpeedStax G4 and the Moyu timer? So I haven't actually tried the Moyu timer, so I can't really make a judgment on this, but I do have the SpeedStax G4, and I find that it's really good, and also it's what's used in competition. So I think I would go with the SpeedStax G4 simply to simulate comps more. However, it is also quite expensive, so if you want a budget option, then sure, go ahead with the Moyu timer. Which cube do you dislike the most? Says Supreme Soul. So the cube that I dislike the most would probably be the Meilong Master Morphix. This cube is horrible. I hate it so much. I've solved it 2 or 3 times, but it takes so long, and it's absolute agony. I hate how it shapeshifts. It's really frustrating, and it's just so weird and confusing. Ugh. Mabdullah Danish asks, when did you start cubing? 30th of December 2019 was my first ever solve, but I didn't really start properly cubing regularly until mid-January. Billy CCCYT asks, what methods do you use for blind? So I use M2 for edges and Old Pockman for corners. I'm also trying to learn 4-blind over the holidays, but I'm not sure if I'll have the motivation to do it because it's hard and confusing and there's lots of new algorithms to learn, so who knows. Last question comes from Trishank EE, who asks, what method is faster, OLL or ZZ? So to be honest, this question doesn't make a whole lot of sense because OLL is a step in CFOP and ZZ is a whole method, but I'll take it to mean ZZ versus CFOP. So I would say CFOP because ZZ, a bit like Rue, is quite underdeveloped. It does have less rotations, but it's also more intuitive because the first step is the EO line where you orient edges, and that can be quite intuitive and so maybe a bit slower than more algorithmic steps in CFOP. So honestly, I don't actually know much about ZZ, but I would say CFOP. More people use it, and out of all the top cubers in the top 100, I don't think there's a single person who uses ZZ. Alright then guys, so here we are on the random comment picker website. We're just going to paste in my link and we are going to find some comments. So what we're going to do is not include replies, and we're not going to allow duplicates. So that means that if people did more than one question, that's great. I've still answered them, but I'm not going to allow them to have 2 different entries. And of course, I'm not going to include replies because then the chances are I would win because I replied to every comment. We're not going to filter anything. I could put question marks, but I think obviously that wouldn't really work because people ask questions without putting question marks. So continue, we're going to hit that, and then it's going to generate for us our 3rd place winner, who's going to receive the exclusive Discord role. So here we go. It's going to load up our comments. 86 comments it's loaded, 86 entries to this giveaway. That is crazy. Thank you very much everyone who's entered, and let's pick our Discord winner. Okay, so the winner of the exclusive Discord role is Jansen Pickle. Congratulations to Jan, and I know that you're already a member of my Discord server, so that's perfect. Huge congratulations to you. Okay then, so now we're going to pick the 2nd person, and this person is going to be winning the shout out and channel feature. So let's find a winner. Cam the Cuber. Huge congratulations to you, Cam. I know that you have a channel which is a pretty similar size to mine actually, so I'll be giving you a big shout out and channel feature, not that you need it. So that's great, congratulations. It was a very good challenge and you're a very worthy winner. Alright then guys, here it is. I'm actually really excited to pick the winner of the £10 Cubes UK giveaway, and I'm sure this is the bit that many of you have been holding your breath for. So here we go, let's pick a winner. Guan Yingzi, congratulations. You said that you hoped you'd win the giveaway, and you have. Huge congratulations. Well done. Make sure to message me on Discord or email me. You can find my email on my About page, or message me on Instagram, any of those platforms if you have them, and get in touch and I will send you your gift card. Alright then everyone, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please give me a thumbs up and bop that subscribe button. Make sure to comment your thoughts and share this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for 250 subscribers. Goodbye.